Welcome to SoCal Sports Report. Unbelievably, our 64th live podcast. I am John Stellman. We've had to do a little shuffling of the in Cabo. I'm sure he just really.
Someone's got to do it, John. Someone's got to do it.
Vince is on the 10-day DL, so we have Jake Femansky back again, who filled in very spectacularly for John last week. So we'll get started with the topics. We're going to lead off with the Rams and the Chargers, who both are just rolling right along. I think it's an exciting time for pro football in Southern California. We got two teams that combined are 16-3, which is just spectacular, and they're both don't show any signs of rolling over and playing dead. So that we'll lead off with that. The MLB awards this week. We had the Shohei Ohtani winning the Rookie of the Year. We had the Manager of the Year today. We'll have the Cy Young tomorrow, and then the MVP coming up. To do this winter as far as acquiring players via trades or free agencies. And I think Jake and John might want to chime in on the Brad Ausmus hiring, their thoughts on that as well. The Lakers playing better, up over 500. They get Portland home tonight. They seem to be meshing a little bit better. I think Tyson Chandler's helped out a lot in the middle. Also, the Clippers, a big win last night in overtime over the Warriors. We'll have to make some comments on that. The Ducks and Kings are still having their struggles, although the Ducks won last night. Another injury for the Kings. Their backup goalie is now out, 4 to 6 week, Jack Campbell. So that's gonna hurt them. John might have some golf for us and whatever else we. And the Chargers, we can kind of talk about those together. The Ram game was. It's always an exciting game, but their run defense has got to. It stinks. And Kansas City will run the ball, run it and run it and run it and run it. If they can't stop, the Kansas City run offense, they're going to have a lot of trouble. Doesn't matter how many times Donald and Sue get to the quarterback. Mahoney. The Ram, something has to be done with the Ram run defense.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think you're starting to see actually the Rams kind of come back to the field now, where they were loaded with they were just flat out beating everybody by saying, I'm going to score 35 points, you in or you're not in, right? Pretty much probably the last 3 or 4 games have been tight games. Yeah, they've won them other than the New Orleans game, but the games have been very tight, where the games before that, the first 4 games before that, were complete blowouts. They weren't even in the game. The other teams were not even in the game. So, this is probably going to be, we've already seen an explosive offense with New Orleans. Now they're going to see Kansas City, who can throw the ball now and do well. And having Cooper Kupp out is for the rest of the season. It's not going to help. They better figure out their run defense, like you said. And they got some DBs that are making some stupid mistakes. But again, they're finding ways to win, which is good. But when they run into a quality team like a New Orleans, and again, Kansas City doesn't have a very good defense, but they're playing again, and it wouldn't surprise me if Kansas City walked in and slugged them right in the face. Now, that being said, we saw this in the Green Bay game. That's going to be a lot of red in that stadium. I always thought it was the Chargers, but I'm starting to see that the Coliseum is getting a lot of those opposing teams. Yeah. And when you've got, when Green Bay got the kickoff, remember, and then what's his name fumbled the ball and got traded the next day, you had the opposing quarterback, Rodgers, standing up, telling everybody that let's go,
exactly,
let's go,
yeah,
like he was in a
in
home
your
game,
house.
Right? He's at a home game, and then Seattle had a lot of fans there last week, and I know from even Charger games, Kansas City travels very well.
They do.
And they're going to be there in the same, it's going to be, now that this thing's not in Mexico City, it's going to get crazy. There used to not be, there is now. And so I think they've come back to earth a little bit.
And I've noticed, I looked at the stats today, Kansas City's actually scored more points than the Rams.
Yeah.
335 to 359 or something. But they've got an offense that can take it to you.
Yeah.
And I think, too, with, the Rams, I think they're starting to, like John said, they're coming back to reality because they've, injury-wise, the last couple of years, they've been all healthy. And, you got Peters, I think is still hurt. Their linebacking core, even the start of the season, wasn't that, all there. And now, I think, the honeymoon phase kind of is wearing off right now for them. So, I think it's going to be a great game. It's Monday night, correct?
Correct.
And I think it's going to be an absolute, shootout. First one to 65 wins probably.
And at the very end, where the Seattle going, yeah, because he knows.
Yeah.
He knows it's like we got lucky here, and that's a big win for us. And he's knowing that his team is not 100%. And that emotion from him is something that told me that, like, yeah, you know what? It could turn into a smoke and mirrors thing here, and he's, and he's the kind of guy that you can see is going to work harder to make sure that his guys are in comfortable. Now, if you're going to give Goff time, he's dangerous. He's going to find some weapons out there.
He's got plenty of them.
Well, they're starting to dimensional. They're not all 100%, right? But if you're telling me that you can throw the ball to Gurley out of the backfield, you can run the ball with Gurley with that offensive line, it wouldn't surprise me if they try to run the ball a lot this week just to keep Kansas City.
Yeah.
Seattle was running the ball like 55 to 60% of the time,
right?
Just so the Rams would stay off the field, So if you can do that and keep that offense off the field, that's how you're going to manage the clock, and that's how you're going to try to win that football game. Because Kansas City can score in 3 plays, like that's just the way they have it. They have speedsters in every category, and Hunt runs the ball really well. So, and Mahomes is Mahomes. He can sling it with the best of them, I think this might be his first. No, his first one was against New England. He had a big. That was his first
coming out party.
Yeah, kind of like, okay, this is the game of the week type of deal. And now he's going to come into a second one. So, but he's got a great coach, and I think he's he's doing great things with him, just like McVay's doing with Goff. So I think.
The Rams were 1.
See, so so now they're saying Kansas City's got a great chance to win this game because usually it's 3.
3 for the
home team.
Right,
home team.
Right. So now they're saying it's 1, which means they're seeing holes, like you're seeing holes in the running game or in the run defense that could. And the one thing you don't want to do is try to chase Kansas City. Like you don't want to be down 14-0 to them.
Right.
Kind of like New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
So.
Do you guys think, I guess just today we found out that the game is being moved to the Coliseum. I guess the conditions in Mexico City are not favorable. Or the Rams went to Colorado. I think they left Monday. They wanted to get acclimated to the altitude. Kansas City decided, we'll just stay at home and have our regular practice week. So now they're going to have their regular practice week. The Rams are going to spend 2 days, one going, one coming. It's going to disrupt their routine. And does that...
I think so, just because if you watch the Chief-Cardinal game last week, it kind of looked like the Chiefs weren't clicking on all cylinders. And I feel like now that they're home, they're going to, everything, same routine, creatures of habit. I think they're going to fix those mistakes and, be more comfortable, I guess, going into this Ram game.
Right.
Then, the Rams are flying everywhere and, the altitude and all that. I think a little bit of it, is kind of an advantage for that, just because I think the Chiefs are, in a way, going to be well rested, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
the one thing I find is a little weird is why all of a sudden on Monday morning we find out that that's a bad football field.
Yeah.
Like if that was a bad soccer. I don't know what their football, their soccer, whatever.
That just happened overnight?
Yeah, exactly.
Sunday it was fine, and Monday.
You're telling me you can't lay new turf 2 weeks ago, or was there that many soccer games that were going on? But it's kind of a little weird how they're just kind of saying, "Wow, that's a bad field." Like, no, we're not going to put our multi-million-dollar kids on this, which I understand, I agree with too. But we're just finding out as fans, we're just finding out about that, and find that a little weird.
That is
as powerful as the NFL is. Like, they're not putting pressure on these guys, going, "Hey, you want us to bring teams to your stadium, and this is a piece of crap." Like.
Right.
You know, there should be NFL officials that are going down there 3 weeks, a month ago and going, whoa, guys, we got some stuff to do here. You better figure this out. Felt like that was a little weird.
Yeah,
right?
the timing.
Right.
It didn't just happen overnight.
Yeah,
right, exactly. Yeah. So, like, and that gives the Rams enough time to cancel this trip to
Colorado. Oh, yeah,
Colorado.
exactly.
You know, and this kind of stuff that's going on up there, which is, you know, our hearts go out to the families and everybody that's dealing with that. But, you know, now you got 20 or 25 employees that are in this situation, on the fire situation, that work for the Rams, and now you're putting them on an airplane and getting them away where they possibly could be with their families and stuff. It's kind of a weird situation.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about the Chargers a little bit. Phillip Rivers just continues to amaze. This guy's really found the fountain of youth. I mean, this guy is a serious MVP candidate.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's having a phenomenal year.
Yeah, but they really haven't beaten anybody. I mean, I'll be the devil's advocate here and say that, you know, they lost to the Rams.
Exactly.
They lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. Or if they do, it's around 500, right? But they're winning the games they're supposed to be winning. They're doing it without. I mean, they lost Perryman for the season in the first play from scrimmage. That's not good. But they say Bosa has a chance to possibly play against Denver. I'll be at the game. I'm going to the game this Sunday. But again, they're doing the things they need to do to keep themselves in contention. And I would assume they probably got to win about 2 or 3 more games to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, 7 and 2, so 10 wins should get you.
Yeah, so
playoffs.
You know, so I again, they should be winning these games. But I'm still waiting to see how they're going to do against a team that's over 500 or playing against, you know, that's at their level, right? Exactly. So far, the teams that are at their level, they lost both games. Well, it's probably going to be a lot of orange in the crowd, which, you know, the great thing about the Chargers is they've accepted that it's a away game, no matter if it's home or away.
16 road games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I saw some things this afternoon that how right about now you're starting to see the leaks, right? You know, you saw the leaks with the Rams with the run defense. You know, the Chargers, they're allowing now 133.8 yards per game on the ground for the last 4 games, which is 22 yards more than their season average. So they've got to kind of tighten up their run defense, right? A Bosa will help that out, right?
Henry's supposed to come back too, they're saying, later this year.
Yeah, so, but they've lost 2 linebackers, Perryman, the one just recent, and those were like their top tacklers. So since 2009. So it's positive, but again, you know, the AFC West is other than the Chargers and the Chiefs is poor. And the team, it was a good win in Seattle though. Good win in Seattle.
Yeah, that was.
Right. So that would probably be the other team that would probably be their big win. That's above 500 or around 500, but you know, that's not an easy place to win. So so that was a big plus there, but boy, the Raiders bad. The Raiders have not scored a touchdown in 9 quarters. 9 quarters. I mean, it's ugly up there. So
I think that contract was a big mistake. I think they're finding it out.
Yeah.
Not so much X's and O's, but just handling the.
I guess it's all going to be. We're going to see how the draft goes, right? On the way in, and I'm like sitting there going, there's a guy from Veasan that came out and said, you know what, there's not a real big quarterback coming out of like, you know, a Darnold or somebody that you're going to take in the first 5, you know, picks. So I don't know if he's got something like, they seem to think that they're going to keep Cook for one more year. Carr for one more year, and then try to find somebody in the 2nd or 3rd round to kind of go underneath him. Because they say the kid from Oregon is supposed to be really good, but he's now talking about going back to school. Mm-hmm. So, but $30 million can go a long way. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So, well, I just think they need linemen. They need linemen. They need a running. They need a little bit of everything, right?
Exactly.
Obviously, to fill out Mac's position. I mean, they gave you the one of the best defenders. You know,
appreciate that, John.
Yeah. So.
No, I mean, but like what John's saying though, like this draft coming up. There's need. Right. So I mean, they're gonna have to start gutting and doing it, and hopefully they can, you know, find somebody in the 2nd or 3rd round to kind of, you know, get them over the hump. But it's not looking good right now for us.
But as a coach, right? I mean, are you coaching a bunch of kids that pretty much have quit? I mean, it's hard. You know, it's probably a hard situation to put yourself in, to prep these kids every week to, you know, to go to their meetings and listen and try to get prepared for the next week when they're like, we're going to lose by 20. Like, although this week they got a good chance against the Cardinals, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So I don't know. It's I don't know. It's kind of, I know we're getting off the Chargers and the Rams, but it's an ugly situation up there. So
I think the chemistry.
But being a Charger fan, I kind of enjoy it. To be honest.
Oh yeah. I heard coming in. I heard Bert Grossman speaking on San Diego radio. He was saying the chemistry when they were 0-16. Right. So the thing is just it's just a train wreck. Yeah. The problem with Gruden is not so much X's and O's, but it's just this is a different generation of player.
Yeah, you got to.
He hasn't coached in 17 years.
Yeah,
things have changed.
Good point. Yeah.
You know, and Grossman was saying it's just a disaster, a complete disaster. Yeah. I don't think he realized the difference in today's player as opposed to the players he was coaching when he left the game. Mm-hmm. I mean, just the analytics and all the other social media, and there's just so many distractions. And
he needs to go back to Monday Night Football because that crew's not very good. That's a tough one to watch.
I'll tell you.
With Booger
on his high chair.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the MLB awards.
Okay.
Ohtani, rightfully so, should have won.
You called that, I think.
Well, we both did. We both called Osuna and. There was a hack. I watched the show. There was a hack from New York that just brutal on Ohtani. How can you give this? He hasn't played. He's hurt half the year. He doesn't pitch anymore. He doesn't even play in the field. He's a DH. How can you put? You know, he's pleading for the New York contingent. So just brutal, you know. And I felt like saying, hey, didn't Ichiro win the Rookie of the Year? And he was wasn't even a pitcher.
Well, the funny thing about that is you know, the the New York biased media, Torres was hurt, and I can't pronounce that guy's name, the third baseman for the Yankees. They were hurt too. It wasn't like they were playing, 150 games either. So I was actually shocked that Ohtani won. I mean, I thought he deserved it, but I was just thinking, I'm like, man, if they go to East Coast bias, I go, it's good. I thought they were.
But he got 25 first place votes.
Yeah. I mean, he had 20 bomb. I mean,
20. I think it was like 22, 23.
Bombs,
yeah.
And then he had a bunch of strikeouts.
Yeah. First guy to have over 20 strikeouts and 50 strikeouts and 20 home runs.
Yeah, that's
the same season. Yeah, that in itself. I mean, I thought there was what was well deserved. Osuna, I think Osuna, he's going to be a great player, and I think he. That wasn't even close, really.
Yeah,
he was
that
deserved.
Kid was a stud.
He deserved that. The manager of the year, Schnitker from Atlanta, and our boy from Oakland,
Bob Melvin,
which
Oh,
deserved
wow.
it.
Yeah, Melvin got it over
Cash.
over the cash from
Yeah.
Tampa.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't see
think
that coming.
he turned that team around.
When they
20.
made the playoffs,
Yeah.
So Tampa didn't.
90 kind of solidify it.
He turned it around 20. He turned it around. They were
I'll tell you,
95
the
and
kid, Snell better get
yeah.
Snell better get it. That kid's nasty.
That yeah.
That kid is flat
Oh,
out
yeah.
nasty.
yeah.
And then
We'll see how that.
probably DeGrom, probably for the Mets, they're saying
so.
has got a chance.
His ERA was microscopic.
Well, I think remember the statistic we talked about when he was pitching late in the season that if the Mets would have scored 3 more runs in his games, he would have been like something stupid.
It would have been like
20
20
something
somewhere,
or
yeah.
1 or 2.
Yeah.
And then they're thinking Betts and Yelich will win the MVP.
Yeah, that sounds
that's-
reasonable.
Yelich was like first or second in almost every category.
Yeah, he was pretty
So,
impressive. That sounds about right. Let's talk about trade wise. I know you guys have some thoughts on John Mutton here last week on the Brad Osmus.
Yeah, I mean,
hiring
I'll
that we
make
talked
it short
about.
and quick because I know that Jake and I are on the same boat. I feel that again, I don't know this for sure. I'll be open and honest with you, but I don't think he interviewed anybody else. I think he brought him in last year and said, if things get really ugly and we need to fire him, you're gonna fill right in. Or if things are going the way that we think it's going to go, we're going to ask him to resign this year, and you're going to fill in. I don't think I know that there was Eric Chavez a name was thrown around. Did he ever sit down with Epler and have a full formal interview? Did you actually go and try to find maybe some assistance to do something in a trade and bring him over, or go to Colorado and bring back an old manager? I don't know. I think it's like we talked about it. I think he had his mindset up a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And what I think is happening in baseball is that Major League Baseball general managers think that Major League coaches are puppets. It's all about the numbers. I think they sit down at a table of 5 to 6 guys, and they put a lineup together. And then from that point on, then they put the trust in the manager to go by the gut and do the pinch hit, or go by the gut and pull the guy. But again, it's all about the numbers now. And I think that the managers from now on are going to get younger and younger and younger. And they're going to, it was, Gardner had a lot of great things to say about him.
Yes.
But he failed in Detroit with a lot of great players.
Good lineup.
Right?
Good lineup.
And so what did he do wrong there that he's going to do right here, right? So is that just a learning experience and he's going to be able to learn from his mistakes, or was it we didn't do analytics in Detroit and now we do it in Anaheim? I don't know. I'm a wait and see guy, but what I was frustrated about is I don't think he decided to interview anybody else and go outside his umbrella,
comfort zone,
to look at other candidates. But I know you guys talked about it last week, but that's kind of my 2 cents on the whole deal. I don't know if you want to add into it at all.
Oh no, spot on basically.
But going back to your original question on what I think they need to do, I think we need to try to find a legitimate closer. I think we need to have a good setup to a good closer. I think we need to get a third baseman and a first baseman and maybe a good fourth outfielder. Other than that, and maybe Maldonado might want to come back as a catcher. I have no idea, but I think he was great back there. I like Maldonado a lot.
Very good
right?
defensively, yeah.
So, I think if I'm looking at it, that's kind of what's on top of my wish list of what I'd like them to do. I think we found a great little second baseman that's scrappy to possibly lead off for us or bat in the 9 hole. But other than that, we need
Orange
power.
County guy, Fletcher.
Yeah,
Orange
we
County
got,
guy.
we got powers on the corners. We need powers on the corners and somebody to help out. I don't know what the Pujols thing is. He's now fallen in that category of a coin flip. You don't know what's going to happen with that guy. Slowly
Well, I think
but surely going
I
down.
think he proved last year. They wanted to play him more games last year so that Ohtani could DH, and I think they was proven that he's not going to be able to handle the pounding of the at first base for 125 or 130 games. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, so that's kind of, I don't know if that's what you're saying.
No, I would definitely, I agree. First base, third base, definitely got to beef up the bullpen a little bit. They can't have Bedrosian as a closer. Saw how that turned out, or Parker. I would got to get some bullpen, and then maybe kind of as spring training approaches, maybe go and try and get like a Gio Gonzalez, somebody cheap, some lefty starting pitcher, just to kind of be a stable in that starting rotation. Because I don't know, I said it last year before.
With Garrett Richards.
Now he's not going to he's not going to pitch next year, but
he's not, right? Yeah, exactly. And then you got the other kid that
J.C. Ramirez.
Yeah, he's out for a whole nother year, right?
Who's that?
Oh no, J.C. Ramirez is back. Meyer might be out for another year.
Alex Meyer.
Okay.
The big 6'7" kid.
Oh yeah. Okay, I thought they all had Tommy Johns.
They say they're going to. Angels say
Ohtani is not throwing for a whole another year, but they say he's going to be able to hit.
Right.
Which I'm like, you better take that like day by day.
Yeah.
Because that's all you need to do is re-injure that elbow, right? I know that hitting is totally different from throwing, but I would just take it easy there, right? So. Heck, just go watch the Japanese All-Star game. There's probably a couple of those kids you could probably
seriously.
bring on.
The Angels have said that they would be willing to sign. Richards is a free agent. And loaded with the incentives. That's I wouldn't give him any more than that.
No, yeah. I agree with that.
You can't dole out money like that.
Stuff, he really does. But he's been on the DL like.
I think it was ever since that kneecap injury. I think he just hasn't been the same at all. In anything.
Are there any third basemen out there? I still would like
Moustakas.
Moustakas.
I would pick him up at the airport right now.
Yeah, I'd love him. Yeah. Well, he wanted to come here last year. It was when he was out floating around last year. He said the number one destination on his wish list was
Malibu,
right? Yeah.
So him and Yelich live in Malibu.
Went to Crespi High.
Yeah.
So he's.
I would love to have Moustakas.
Yeah.
That'd be a nice bat in that lineup. But now I would like to see Zach. I was never thrilled with Zach Kohart. He's not a power guy. Third base is a power. They haven't had a power
Zach
guy.
Kohart, he's exactly what.
Let him be your fourth infielder. Let him be third, short, second.
He's not your. He's a great two-strike hitter, but he's a fill-in guy because he can play all positions. Yeah.
They haven't had a third baseman since Troy Gloss.
Right. I was even going to say Gloss or Kayapso.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, and Kayapso was kind of more of like a utility infielder, but it just the third baseman for the Angels over the years after Gloss has just been
been a disaster.
McPherson, Halter. Brandon Wood, who was supposed to be a world beater.
Oh yeah, he was a next big superstar.
Yeah, he's working at Home Depot now, probably.
Let's talk about the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers need more help than a lot of people probably think.
Well, when I started looking at this, when I started breaking it all down, obviously they're good enough to get to the World Series, right?
Yeah.
But I think you got to make a decision. You're my center fielder. They have guys all over the place, right? No, it's you got to give it to them. They've drafted multi-talented kids, right? But you gotta say, like, you're my center fielder. You're not my shortstop. That if somebody goes on the DL, you're not going to change the shortstop. You're going to stay in center field, right? I don't know. There's too many guys floating all over the place, right? And again, I would tell Jansen, you need to come in. I'm paying you a lot of money. You need to lose 25, 30 pounds.
Exactly.
Right? You need it because you're getting hurt and you're not – your velocity is down. and I'd get him on a plan, and then I would obviously try to find that 6, 7, 8 guy. I think they've always been successful with starting pitching. They got Kershaw back, and so they're going to have a good 1, 2, 3 punch again. So they could probably go find an odd 4th starter, right?
Yeah.
So if they could get that, go find that 7, 8 guy, but they're getting their shortstop back, which is great.
But you don't know when.
Oh, he's not going to be ready by.
Well, I don't know how many.
Spring training?
Like Vince said, he's not only undergone Tommy John, but he's gone
the hip surgery.
Hip surgery too.
Yeah.
Those are 2 major surgeries.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure he's going to be
Where's
ready.
Maldonado going to go?
Machado,
sorry.
Oh, probably New York.
Or Philly.
New York or Philly.
Yeah.
Which they can have them.
So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's probably where I would do with the Dodgers. Because I think they found a hidden gem with Muncy, right? Muncy's been great. So
Can't play anywhere but first.
Yeah, but he hits.
So Bellinger, where does he play? He plays center field, so where does Peterson play?
Well, Peterson's, but Bellinger better start hitting the ball too, or he's going to find himself on the bench. He was sporadic at best.
I think they really need help behind the plate.
Oh, yeah, totally agree.
Grandal hit 24 home runs. He didn't take the qualifying offer. He thinks he's worth more than that.
Really?
24 home, that's
Did he
fine.
not watch the playoffs?
He can't catch the ball. He can't catch the ball. He can't block the ball.
He can't hit in a crucial situation.
No.
He's terrible.
No, and the other guy, what's the other guy?
Austin.
That's ballsy.
He's good defensively. He's good defensively, but he hits 108.
Yeah.
They need a catcher.
He's a backup catcher.
They need a catcher.
Yeah.
Grandal was a disaster.
Yeah.
Defensively.
I can't believe he says he's better than that.
And I think the qualifying offer, correct me if I'm wrong, was $18 million or something
around
like that.
that.
It was
18,
something where
Oh my gosh.
He thinks he's going to get a better offer than that. Well, he did hit 24 home runs. Balls did he have?
Yeah, but again, there were many times that he was in crucial situations in the playoffs and the World Series, and he didn't come through. I mean, I would look at him and his agent and say, 24 home runs. Let's just put that over here. Now all of a sudden, let's talk about winning ball games.
Putting the ball in
You
play.
had errors, and you couldn't put the bat on the ball to make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you run into you hit into a double play. You made him make a play. Like, you didn't even allow him to do that.
Yeah, if you hit the ground ball, maybe they'll mess up the double play. Maybe they'll make an error and throw the ball away.
Exactly.
At least you got a chance.
I mean, I
Getting back to your
$18 million and ran.
Yeah. Getting back to your comment about moving guys around.
Yeah.
You remember the Milwaukee game? He moved Taylor from second base to.
Like, I don't know how many years are you going to do that? You know what I mean? It's like a bunch of scrappy guys that are going, like, one day the guy's playing center field, the next day he's playing third base or shortstop or whatever.
And Jensen's got to come in better shape. I don't think he did anything in spring training.
No.
And how's that heart condition going to affect him going
Right,
forward?
that's what I'm saying. Get yourself in better shape so you don't have these situations.
And don't baby him come spring training either.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That was the other thing that kind of blew my mind. I think.
Yeah, they did. As you were down there for that whole deal, yeah.
I mean, he was throwing on the third field, closest, in basically a covered area. He would throw in I wouldn't even call it a simulated game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was basically like a 12-pitch bullpen, and then he was done for the rest of the day. It's like, all right, go get him. But I think one thing real quick, I think if they start dumping contracts, the Dodgers, I think they're going to go after somebody big, like a. Who else?
They don't need another outfielder.
Fleet for another year, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think if they can get under that luxury tax, I think that's when they're going to make a big splash. But I think they need to get. I agree with John. They need to kind of have a set in stone lineup, just because I feel like you're not gelling, especially on the infield when you got a different second baseman, every other inning. I feel like, and they gotta get that bullpen ready and ready to go.
I think Vince said it didn't matter how much now that they were under last year, Doesn't matter how much they won't get taxed this year. They won't get taxed for another 5 years.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, I just want to remind that we are on live. Go to the website if you're listening right now. Be on the show. Click on that icon. It will go into the chat room, and you can send us a comment, and we will discuss it. Really appreciate to hear all the comments. Let's go to the Lakers, who look like they're, I don't know what to say. We'll see what happens tonight. They play Portland again here. But they have had a couple of good games in a row. Chandler's made a huge difference.
Yeah, I agree.
He really has.
That was a great pickup. I don't know. I think Vince had discussed it. Like we can't really make a judgment call on these guys for at least 20 games, 25
Oh,
games,
yeah,
right?
no, for sure.
I'm not too happy, to be honest with you. I think it's like I've walked up to a playground and I watch a bunch of guys play basketball. I don't think there's any type of structure. Really, no. I mean, LeBron doesn't. I don't know if it's these guys don't like Luke's offense. I don't know if Luke's offense is right for these guys. I would fire my defensive specialist, or I would say, you better get something figured out because, I don't know.
They've never played defense.
Right, but you
they
have
played
to play
defense.
defense, right?
When Phil was here, they didn't play defense.
So I just think the way that they're going to be competitive in the West is by playing defense. And the other thing that I've noticed, like in the last 3 or 4 games, the amount of time I have watched them, amazing how many times they let teams go on big runs. I mean, big runs. I mean, I think there was many times that I saw they're up by 15 or 20, and all of a sudden they're only up by 4. He tries to stop things, but it doesn't, after that timeout, it keeps going. You know what I mean?
It doesn't do any good.
It doesn't do any good. So
they almost blew that Portland game. Up there.
Right, exactly. And I just and they almost lost to Atlanta last.
15 up.
But I think one thing that we had discussed is McGee was a good fit, but he wasn't the answer, and bringing in Chandler allows, I think it's a good 1-2 punch, right?
It is
defensively,
it
right?
Is.
But again, it's almost like you could tell like they need that Leonard type of player, or they're a couple players off, right? So
that first game Chandler played, it was the one at the Staples where about 2 shots and missed him badly, and he was able to, he whacked the ball out to the center court, so they got another possession. They finally scored, but and then he blocks the shot against the other night in Atlanta.
Against Atlanta.
Blocks that shot.
Kid from Oklahoma. But I'm still in a wait and see, but there's a lot of holes. There are a lot of holes, and I don't know.
Well, at least they're consistent in one regard. They're the worst free throw shooting team in the NBA. They're last again.
How do you just keep fouling Rondo? And keep
they were 30th last year, and I think they're 30th this year.
Yeah,
they can't make free throws.
It's
even LeBron cost him a game. He missed two free throws, and San Antonio game went into overtime and they lost.
It's a good thing about the Lakers and the Dodgers, though. At least they are consistent.
Yeah.
They are. The Clippers had a nice win last night against Golden. Came together. They had a good outing. I think it was pretty impressive win.
Draymond got nailed today.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was stirring it up with Durant.
In the locker room. There.
But I mean, that team. I can't wait until you get Curry and Boogie Cousins and the whole 9 going at one time, and seeing how crazy that's going to be.
That's gonna be fun to watch.
I don't know when that's going to happen, but. He just has the comfort of a deep bench to be able to sit guys when he can. and do stuff. But I thought it was a great win by the Clippers last night. And I mean, they were up, and then they went into overtime, and they ended up hanging in there. I watched the Clippers, and I'm like, who's the face of the Clippers? You know what I mean? Like, who is on the front of their program? I mean, again, it's all scrappy kind of guys, And they're scrappy enough where they're really playing as a team, but they're a couple players away to possibly be, tough, competitive.
And isn't this the toughest part of their schedule too?
I think so.
20 games or whatever. I mean, they're coming out of it. Probably they're going to be over 500 on it. I think that, you tip your cap to Rivers on that, especially because they don't have, literally, you look at the box scores, you're like, who?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Sweet Lou. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. You say Sweet Lou and you think, like, did he play for the Globetrotters?
Yeah.
So.
Like I said last week, I couldn't name the 5 starters on the Clippers.
No. Yeah.
Okay. We want to talk a little bit about free agents coming to the Clippers or Lakers. I don't. The more you hear, the less attractive. Nobody seems to. Leonard already said he doesn't. He wants to come to LA, but he doesn't want to. He wants to go to the Clippers. Doesn't want to play. Doesn't want to be second fiddle to LeBron.
Right. Yeah.
Those guys in Golden State, they say Durant's probably going to go to New York if he doesn't re-sign with the Warriors, and I'm sure Seth or Klay Thompson, they'll probably re-sign him. There's getting to be less and less.
I could see Durant coming down here. I can see the way that but Leonard's on a pretty darn good team in Toronto.
Yeah,
I
don't
that's
think
right.
He wants to leave anymore.
He's doing well, and they're winning.
Yeah. They're a good squad. So, winning kind of changes a lot of guys' minds, right? So does the mighty dollar. But I have a feeling that if you're starting to see Durant, and having confrontations, and I think he'd love to come play with LeBron, right?
Might, yeah.
But again, I don't know if Luke's the guy. That's the thing that they need to kind of monitor and say, who do we need to look into and being of the right guy? Is it maybe one of the coaches from Utah or Denver or somewhere? Jimmy Butler just went to Philly. That's going to be a really good squad over there,
right?
Is it the Minnesota? But he's like the GM there, so
he's on a very short leash.
Yeah. And Magic wasn't Luke's guy either. It was Genie.
Genie hired him. That's right.
I'm sure that's
Magic
that's tension.
Right. That could be very interesting.
Yeah, so I think they're trying to figure out, like, I think they know that Luke's not the guy, but I think they're trying to figure out, like, who is, and let's start doing our homework, right? And so
how about the broadcast types? How about Van Gundy or Mark Jackson?
Guys that come out of the box and they become coaches, like in Boston and New York for the Yankees and the Red Sox, right? It's just I don't know. I want to possibly find somebody that is from a winning program. That I liked Mike Brown, right?
Oh yeah,
he was a defensive specialist, but trying to find maybe somebody that's is a great assistant from San Antonio, who I think is a great coach, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think like trying to find like what they got in the Celtics with the old Butler coach, right?
O'Brien.
Brad Saunders or
Stevens.
Steven. That's a good coach there.
Yeah,
right?
He's doing well.
I think a lot of it has to deal with it's the players giving respect. I find it funny. A majority of if I caught somebody's eye going off, I'm like, hey,
Well, Kobe did that all the time.
Yeah.
Kobe never,
Right. So, I don't know.
He listened to Phil, but he didn't listen to anybody else.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, how about, excuse me. We got some Bruin Trojan. Big rivalry game between two One awful team and one mediocre team.
Which one's which?
Yeah. So what's really wild is if you think about it, right? UCLA could be playing Washington State in the Pac-12 championship.
No, I think that last loss. I think UCLA's out. But there's going to be the Pac-12 South winner is probably going to be 500 team.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
So I actually think points in the second half against Cal. That's his old defensive coordinator, right? I think they have a very legitimate chance of losing at the Rose Bowl. I think UCLA is putting a lot of points up. They're starting to make things happen. I could see UCLA beating the Trojans, them getting smoked by Notre Dame.
That's right, ending up
and I have a feeling
4-6.
that you have the defensive coordinator coaching them if they even get to a bowl game. Right? I don't even know if they're going to be in a bowl game.
If they lose the next two, they're not bowl eligible, which would be great.
Right.
And, the biggest mistake of all was, Len Swan extending Helton to, 2023? I would can Helton's butt so quickly he wouldn't know.
Well, they'll I mean, with that alumni, they'll
buy him. Yeah.
I mean, if they go to him and say, you need to can – well, that should have been done a long time ago, but you're the one that hired the guy, so – you should be gone too.
Exactly.
But again, I think Vince and I have broken this down, and we've talked about it. USC is a prestigious program, right? They're a top 20
they should
program
be, yeah.
or top 15 program in the United States. Now, I'm not saying where they are in football right now, but if you think about it, it's a top 15 prestigious job.
Right, exactly.
And if you break that down and you look at the SEC, right, which is the number one league in football, I would assume.
Right? Yes, right.
Yeah.
You think Helton would get any of those jobs?
No.
Right, exactly. So why is he getting the job in the first place, right? And well, he goes 19-0 at home, so that helps him out for quite a while, right? But again, it's like you need to go get a guy. Take this job, right?
Helton belongs in the Mountain West. Be a good place for him.
Right, exactly. Or he's an offensive coordinator somewhere, right? So
I never liked that hiring in the first place.
No, I didn't think it was all that spectacular. I think what's scary, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but watching that Cal USC game was probably the most undisciplined I've ever seen USC watching USC football in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, it was against Cal. I get if it's against Notre Dame or UCLA or Oregon, but I mean, it was against Cal, and just some of the silly penalties and just. I mean, JT Dan, I think they shot themselves in the foot starting him too early. I mean, they're in, USC could be in a world of hurt.
They didn't have anybody.
That's
right?
the thing.
So I think you kid's going to be great, right? But they're going to, and they get the recruits, right? They really do. They get the recruits.
Get them.
They've already got the next modern day quarterbacks coming in. He's coming in. He's already committed. The modern day quarterback.
Like he was a
Les
great
Miles.
recruiter, and what's
Les Miles?
No, the
Ogeron.
Yeah, Ogeron was a great, and he was there, and he won with them, but he wasn't the guy, right? And guess what? Now he's top 10 in the nation, and he's down to LSU doing something. So, and they said when he got into a living room, it was automatic like that.
Right.
These guys
He was
out of his hands, right? And what did he do? He was the offensive line and defensive line coach,
Right.
And those kids, he recruited great kids.
He did.
And, you let it go. Why? Because he's not a Hollywood type of guy. Like, that's stupid. He's a football coach,
Right.
So
exactly.
I really think that I hope they go out and they think about it and they interview guys and just not say, make the move, but that kid that coach in Oregon I heard is phenomenal. But he's not going to come. I mean, that's Phil Knight money up there. He ain't going to.
Exactly.
Place, right. But I think they need to venture out and look at some SEC, maybe lower end SEC guys that and maybe a less. I don't know, but
if they lose to UCLA, you're gonna get smoked by Notre Dame. But if they lose to UCLA, 4-6. The alumni, the big spenders, they're not going to be very happy.
No.
They're not
Well,
going to be
they're
very
already not happy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. And I think we talked about it. You said just give UCLA time. Like, they're going to start getting better. In their last, three, they've been in every game.
Oh, yeah.
They've been contending in every game.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time there. And he's got the senior now as a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, right?
Yeah, he has to.
Just,
But
so
like Vince said, it's going to take him 3 years to get his recruits in and get them into his system, and before they can really turn that thing around.
Which means you better get somebody in here now to coach at USC, because he's going to start getting those kids from Southern California. And you have Jay Sarah, who lost last on by 1 point against Oaks Christian. They were 6th in the nation. You have Mater Dei that's still going. They're number 2 in the nation.
Right.
And you have St. John Bosco, who was number 1 in the nation. So you have 3 teams in the top 6 in the nation in high school in your backyard, let alone, I don't know, you got probably Centennial out there in Riverside. Everybody talks about high school Texas football. I don't know about it anymore. I think it's right here in our backyard.
Right, exactly.
So, I think they've got a big crop to choose from. Massive.
That looked like a college line.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. There's a wide receiver at Bosco who lives in San Clemente. Crazy. He went over to Jay Sarah, and then he went up to Bosco. So, but I actually think it's going to be. I think it could be a really good football game. To be honest with you, 2 bad teams kind of going at it.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like what we saw last night on Monday Night Football. I think it could be something like that, 27-24. Last team that has the football, wins type of thing. But again, if USC loses this game, because they know, we all know they're going to get smoked. The game that Notre Dame needs to worry about is right now against Syracuse.
Yes,
that's the team they got to worry about. That there's a guy that you would go after. But again, it's at Yankee Stadium, which is a little weird. But
at 11 o'clock, in a morning game too.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
morning for us.
I don't know. I think I had tickets and I gave them away actually to a friend of ours, but because I can't go to the USC game and then wake up and go to the Charger game. It's too much football for me. So, but I'm curious to see how that goes down. So
Kings and Ducks. Kings had a nice win against Nashville. They'd only lost 3 games. Little overtime, little shootout win.
Oh, the Ducks did.
Yeah,
Ducks did,
2-1. Yeah, that was nice. They're still, they're 8-3. They're still,
only 2 points behind the
exactly.
first place.
Nobody's jumped out and ran away with the Pacific Division. Vegas has found out what the sophomore jinx is all about. They're down the Campbell.
Banged up.
Yeah, 4-6.
They just let their coach go, right?
Yeah. Last week.
Yeah. So right now, hockey at SoCal is not too too promising.
And Jake's, way more educated about the Ducks than I am, but I think we've discussed it. Our defensemen they're good. They're not great, right? And Gibson just stands on his head, right? And so, we've been in a lot of games. They're just okay. They're not the Carlsons of the world or anything like that.
Right.
And I think getting these younger guys going a little bit more and getting them into the flow of the season and stuff like that. But again, it's just mediocre hockey. It is.
And I think if they can, stay above water come January. The Ducks from getting all 4 lines squared away to being a good team. Because after last night, that gave me a lot of hope going, okay, we might have something here because the young guys are playing well.
They are.
Our defense, after that whole Randy Carlisle, we're being too cute with the puck. They weren't cute last night, which was kind of odd, but they looked, better, and they're looking like, okay, either Getzlaf said something, Kessler, because after last night, if you're a Duck fan, you're liking what you're seeing because, I mean, all 4 lines look good. Pekka Rinne is an unbelievable goalie. Gibson made some great saves last night, and then you look up and then you open up the paper and you're like, oh, we're 2 points back from
right.
the division, and it's. But I feel like if they could just because they've always been a second half team, the Ducks. They've always been a second half team. So I think if they can just, and I'm sure it's going to happen because there's some that are the future. If there's something come trade deadline where they might have to trade one of those guys for a Nylander or somebody like that, somebody that qualified, then I'd say go for it.
Got to, yeah.
Because the window's shutting, but you're looking at the young talent. You're going, there's still might have some cracks.
I like the transition there. Normally when the window shuts, it's it's crumbs for a couple of years, but they're moving those young guys in right now. In anticipation.
Terry. I mean, Max Jones is. You read all these player profiles. They're saying he could be like the next Ryan Kessler.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I'm happy now that the Ducks are at that point now where we were, like I said last week, where the last 3-4 years we were waiting for these guys to come up, and now we're seeing them. And that Jacob Larson kid right now is
acquisitions,
and that's where people need to stop complaining about Murray, because without Murray, we're a dumpster fire.
Yeah, he's done a great job.
And I mean, I think they did a stat on opening night. The Ducks have been basically competitive for the last 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, tip your cap to Murray and the Samuelis and, their, scouting department, because that's why.
Yeah, they've done a good job. John, we got any golf to talk about?
Golf's over with.
Golf's done?
Done, except for you got your Tiger Phil thing Thanksgiving weekend. So
Is
Tiger versus Phil out in Vegas.
Are you going to invite us all over? Are you going to pay for it and invite us all over?
Yeah, that'd be a no. If I watch that live, it's because somebody has paid for it.
Yeah.
And invited me over. So
I would like I would probably watch it if it was on regular TV. Yeah. I'm not going to pay for it.
No.
I'm just curious.
People will.
Phil's Tiger's starting to play well. He's getting he's been consistent.
They're both getting a little rest.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, I would love to.
But again, I think it's going to be that. And then I want to say in a couple weeks, his tournament. Tiger has his tournament in Euro. Down in the Bahamas. But yeah, I think some of the guys just played. They've just played Vegas to Mexico, and then they're done. They a couple of the guys put themselves in, to get a couple tournaments out of the way at the beginning of the season, so they can kind of start the next year as a, not having to play two. Because I think Spieth. Like 2 years ago, so that's why he was in Vegas.
Okay.
So he can get a couple under his. Some of them went to Malaysia, played, but season's over pretty much, and except for kind of the fun stuff now.
Just waiting for Hawaii next January? Isn't that the first tournament?
January, yeah. First week of January is the one out in in Maui, and then they go to next week's in Oahu. So.
We're a little short. If anybody has anything they want to discuss, otherwise we can. I think we've covered everything pretty well. Unless somebody has something they want to bring up, nope.
Jake Formansky, your new JV San Clemente High School baseball coach.
Breaking news.
Is that breaking news? When did that happen?
Yeah. It's been in the works, but it's been finalized. I would say last Friday, Thursday or Friday.
When's your first workout?
Tournament this weekend, the Corey Laddle tournament. San Clemente's been playing in it forever.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna go up and.
But that's varsity.
Varsity and JV.
And JV.
And JV.
Oh,
so
good. Congratulations!
Yeah, thank you. So, did it for 5 years. Went to Arizona and came back and decided wanted to go back and help out. So
Great.
We're gonna have a good team. We're gonna have a lot of pitching. So I mean,
can you ship one over to Anaheim Stadium?
They're
No, we don't want to because they might go on the DL.
Yeah, they're gonna go on the
with Tommy John.
Yeah.
So.
Well, good. That's good news. Congratulations, Jake.
Yeah. So.
All right, guys. We'll hope
right.
that Vinny gets that eye straightened out, and we are out.
Good night.
Peace. Where's that tournament at?
Oh gosh, it's in frickin' Glendora. And that's why I'm gonna go over to the Jay Sarah game tonight. Because the Notre Dame game's on at 11:30. And it's a good tournament. It's just, it's just so freaking far up there.
Glendora, yeah, that's halfway around the world.
Oh yeah, and then the thing is I think it's the same rules, but it's like basically the first two games are just qualifying seeding, and then you could literally be there all day Sunday. Like we've won it a couple years in a row where it's been game at 9:30 and you're not leaving, West Covina until 10 o'clock at night.
Oh,
and you're just, you're playing, and the funny thing is too is last year, I'm sure it might happen again this year, where the varsity tournament, it's been us in the South Hills for the last 3-4 years.
Oh, no.
So it's like, let's go play, a neutral site. But yeah, no, it's a great tournament. It's a great foundation.
I didn't know the JV plays in it also.
Yeah, he started doing that. We're gonna have a lot of pitching, a lot of lefties. Offensively, we'll be okay.
Luke's right. Luke's is a good lefty.
Luke's I found out's on JV. He's gonna be a PO.
What's that?
He's gonna be a pitcher only.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, he's not here.
no, he'll come and close things up.
Yeah, I had heard because I'm good friends with his dad. And I was talking to a couple other parents just to say, hey, look, I need to get some information. And they said, yeah, he's a pitcher only, but you might be able to use him as a pinch hitter.
That's fine because
Don't put him in right field. His nickname's Mongo. Yeah. So I don't know if the elevator goes to the top floor.
our offense is.
But he's a big kid, right?
Yeah,
so
he's.
and if he starts to hit, you can. Excuse me. It's right here, right, Jay Sarah?
Yeah. Started at 5:30. We finished the last half.
I might go over there.
See who's.
If you guys want to take off, go ahead. I'll hang on until.
Okay, all right.
You good for next week?
I am. Yeah, thanks.
Thanksgiving week this week? Yeah,
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I think it's Thanksgiving week next week.
Yeah.
Next week's Thanksgiving week,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Yeah, I got nothing going on.
We'll see what's up with them.
Okay.
Justin's thinking about getting 4 mics.
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
You get a round table.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool at a round table, actually.
Getting the 4 of us.
Good. See, that's happens. I mean, that's going right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I just don't like to do 2. Two's.
Yeah, I agree.
You gotta
I agree.
have 3.
Yeah, I agree. And I think having a big table and round table and doing it that way would be kind of fun.
Yeah,
because then you can have computers up and
he's thinking about that.
like he handed that to me and there was just your photo with an arrow on it and I'm like, it's not even on the page. Like I don't know what I'm doing here. So, I mean, what I think would be great is him running the website or him running the Facebook page while we're there and having him going, hey, we got a question, blah blah blah, or he texts us and says, hey, we got a question coming in. Here's the question.
Right.
And then he just relays that in a text message. And we say, oh, he's got a text from Jake. Wants to know about, the Ducks, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I think him running it and then sending us, so I think that would be the better way to go. So that's something. And he can just do a group text, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he just sends it out and you won't get it, right? Because you don't have a text, but the 3 of us will get it. And whoever gets it first, we just interrupt and say, hey, we got a question.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the best way to do it. So, All right.
Good, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
No worries.
I'll be in touch. I'll hang out with you.
Sick money education.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Jake. You did another great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're all done. If Justin wants to hang out, Jake and John already left. I'm just gonna hang around here till Justin gets over. So we're done, and whoever wants to show up, I'll be here waiting for him. What's up? Okay, thanks. Thanks. How are the burritos doing? The burrito bros. Okay. Thanks. Oh, I think I just saw him pull that. Thanks, Kate. Love you. Really, it is about 55 minutes.
Oh my gosh. You know you're still streaming? You know, everything that you are saying now